It's time for the news.
The 39th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the African Union opened today in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, under the theme Ensuring Sustainable Availability of Water and Safe Sanitation Systems to Achieve the Goals of Agenda 2063, with the participation of Prime Minister Sifir Riyab in his capacity as representative of the President of the Republic, Ms. Abdelmajid Tebboune. The President of the Republic, Ms. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has stressed that Algeria has launched an initiative to establish an African civil force to address natural disasters, ensuring an immediate and effective response and providing the necessary support to affected countries. And Algeria has undertaken, on the occasion of the commemoration of the 66th anniversary of the French nuclear tests carried out in the Algerian Sahara, the first partial decontamination operation at the test sites. And internationally, the UN says the violations carried out by the Rapid Support Forces during the capture of Al-Fashir in Sudan's north constitutes war crimes and could be tantamount to crimes against humanity. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. Good afternoon. First in our news, the 39th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the African Union opened on Saturday in Addis Ababa under the theme Ensuring Sustainable Availability of Water and Safe Sanitation Systems to Achieve the Goals of Agenda 2063. The summit is attended by Prime Minister Sifir Riyab in his capacity as representative of the President of the Republic, Ms. Abdelmajid Tebboune, alongside UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the Arab League Ahmed Abul Ghaith, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who is the summit's guest of honor. Algeria's participation reflects its commitment under the leadership of the President of the Republic to supporting joint African action and strengthening integration and solidarity among African countries in line with the aspirations of their peoples for sustainable development, security and stability. During the summit, African leaders are expected to discuss key strategic issues, notably challenges relating to water resources and sanitation services as essential pillars for achieving Agenda 2063 objectives, as well as ways to enhance continental cooperation and coordinate efforts to address economic, social and environmental challenges. Peace and security issues across the continent will also be examined. In this context, Algeria reiterates its commitment to peaceful solutions to conflicts, support for African-led approaches to African issues, and continued contributions to promoting peace, stability and conflict prevention mechanisms. The President of the Republic, Ms. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has emphasized in Addis Ababa the importance of maintaining the cohesion and unity of the African group during the upcoming international climate negotiations as the best way to defend the shared interests of the African nations. In a speech delivered on his behalf by Prime Minister Sifir Riyab during the proceedings of the African Heads of State and Government Committee on Climate Change, President Tebboune stressed the importance of preserving the unity of the African group during the upcoming international negotiations and striving to achieve a just transition that benefits all our countries while moving away from individual approaches that ignore a fundamental reality on the African continent. In this regard, the President stated that adopting a unified position is the best way to defend common interests, build ambitious international and regional partnerships, increase funding for African countries, and facilitate technology transfer to address the intractable climate challenges. Let's listen to him.
تؤكد الجزائر على أهمية الحفاظ على تماسك المجموعة الإفريقية.
Algeria emphasizes the importance of maintaining the cohesion of the African group during upcoming international negotiations and striving to achieve a just transition that benefits all our countries, moving away from individual approaches that ignore a firmly established reality on our continent. Adopting a unified position is the best way to defend our common interests, build ambitious international and regional partnerships, increase funding directed to our countries, and facilitate technology transfer to confront the intractable climate challenge.
The President of the Republic said that the approach should take into account national circumstances at the varying capacities of African countries, particularly in light of the noticeable decline in international funding. He added that due to the increasing challenges facing African economies in climate and trade issues, it had become essential to adopt an approach that effectively meets their needs while promoting regional and continental initiatives as well as South-South cooperation. As a contribution to this continental effort, the President of the Republic stresses that Algeria has launched an initiative to establish an African civil force to address natural disasters, ensuring an immediate and effective response and providing the necessary support to affected countries. In this regard, he noted that Africa, which has always been an endless source of wealth, has deprived its people of its resources for decades due to racist colonial policies. Therefore, it should now assume the position benefiting its potential and history within a multilateral international system that aspires to achieve climate justice and guarantees the right to development. The President stressed the African countries must work together to safeguard growth gains amid rapid geopolitical changes, affirming Algeria's readiness to contribute to this objective. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has stressed that the success of the Italian-African partnership requires making economic and social development in Africa and respect for national sovereignty the cornerstone of any cooperation between the two sides. In a speech delivered on his behalf by Prime Minister Seif Gharieb to participants at the second Africa-Italy summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the President explained that based on a shared African vision, Algeria affirms that the success of the Italian-African partnership requires making economic and social development in Africa the focus of any cooperation, respecting national sovereignty and development choices, strengthening coordination with the African Union's Agenda 2063, and ensuring adequate funding and effective project implementation. After reiterating that Africa prioritizes building balanced partnerships based on equality, trust, and long-term shared interests rather than on short-term or unilateral approaches, the President indicated that Algeria believes in the potential of the Italian-African partnership, reaffirming its readiness to continue contributing to its success in a responsible and constructive spirit. He also highlighted Algeria's aspiration for a new phase of the Mattei plan that is more ambitious, comprehensive, and effective, allowing for building a shared and prosperous future that serves both Africa and Italy. Meanwhile, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has launched a significant initiative to convert African nations' debt into local development projects aiming to foster economic growth, curb irregular migration to Europe, and strengthen Italy's strategic energy and economic ties. This initiative, part of her broader Mattei plan for Africa, proposes to address the debt burden of African nations, which, she argues, threatens to undermine development efforts. Let's listen to her.
Addressing the issue of debt. We wanted to chart a course on this issue as well. Therefore, Italy has decided to launch a vast program to convert the debt of African nations, which includes among its main points the complete transformation of the debt of the most fragile and vulnerable countries into investments. Similarly, we've introduced specific debt suspension clauses into our bilateral loans, allowing African nations affected by extreme weather events to free up fiscal space to help their population and rebuild essential infrastructures.
It is worth recalling that the second Italy-Africa summit, which is held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and co-hosted by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, reaffirms a shared commitment to strengthening the partnership between Italy and Africa in all fields of endeavor. A memorandum of understanding on hydrocarbons, energy, mining and training was signed on Friday in Ouagadougou between Algeria and Burkina Faso. According to a statement from the Ministry of Hydrocarbons and Mines, the signing ceremony was presided over by the Minister of State, Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, the Minister of Energy and Renewable Energies, Morad Adjel, and the Minister of Energy, Mines and Quarries of Burkina Faso, Yacouba Zabre Gouba. The signing culminates the work-in visit undertaken by the two ministers, accompanied by a high-level delegation to Burkina Faso on Thursday, reflecting the positive results of the bilateral talks held between the two parties. Algeria and Mauritania have reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening bilateral ties at the opening of the first session of the Algerian-Mauritanian Joint Parliamentary Grand Commission in Algiers. The Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, and his Mauritanian counterpart, Mohamed Bamba Maguette, stressed that the meeting reflects both countries' determination to elevate cooperation to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Mr. Boughali described the session as a significant step toward institutionalizing parliamentary coordination, enhancing consultation, and turning parliamentary action into a key driver of bilateral cooperation. He noted that Mauritania is the first country with which Algeria's parliament has established such a commission, highlighting the privileged nature of relations between the two nations. For his part, Mr. Bamba Maguette praised the strong fraternal relations between the two countries, describing the commission as an important platform to deepen consultation and promote practical cooperation, particularly in economic, health, and energy sectors. Held under the theme of enhancing the parliamentary role in supporting economic cooperation, the two-day session will conclude with the adoption of recommendations and a joint communiqué. Still in the domestic file, the international seminar organized by the Algiers Bar Association, the National Union of Public Entrepreneurs, and the Algerian Council for Economic Renewal on the theme International Arbitration, Sovereignty, and Alternative Dispute Resolution kicked off today here in Algiers. The opening ceremony of the seminar, held under the slogan The Algerian Challenge, took place at the Abdeltaif Rahal International Conference Center, CIC, in the presence of government officials, representatives of official bodies, and presidents of bar associations. And Algeria has undertaken, on the occasion of the commemoration of the 66th anniversary of the French nuclear tests carried out in the Algerian Sahara, the first partial decontamination operation at the site or at the test site. Starting from Ain Ekr in the province of Tamarasset, the operation uses exclusively Algerian expertise, manpower, and equipment. A documentary produced by the Information and Communication Directorate at the Ministry of National Defense stated that following the intervention of experts and qualified Algerian personnel from various ministries, and after assessing the extent of environmental pollution and the health risk associated with this horrific nuclear explosion, a partial decontamination camp was established. This camp, the first of its kind at the site, serves as a model for future radical and comprehensive rehabilitation of other sites. Shifting now to the Middle East, where several Palestinians were today injured in a series of Israeli attacks targeting various areas of the Gaza Strip. According to the news agency Wafa, the Israeli attacks targeted and destroyed buildings, notably in Khan Yunis and Rafah, in the southern part of the enclave. The continued attacks and destruction of buildings, notably in the town of Gaza, are in violation of the ceasefire enforced last October. This came as UNRWA's General Commissioner Philippe Lazzarini affirmed that the situation remained disastrous in Gaza, while recalling that the Palestinians were fighting to survive as they are still deprived of basic supplies. Addressing the Munich conference on security, he also recalled that the children of Gaza had not been to school for over 2 years now and stressed that the health and education services provided by UNRWA must continue. The UNRWA's General Commissioner affirmed that the Israeli occupying authorities had continued to put political pressure on the UN agency, whose headquarters were recently demolished by the Israeli forces in occupied Al-Quds. And the UN High Commission for Human Rights says the violations carried out by the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, during the capture of Al-Fashir in Sudan's northern part constituted war crimes and could be tantamount to crimes against humanity. In a report, it stressed the necessity to carry out credible investigation in a bid to secure the accountability of those behind such exceptionally serious crimes. In a report, the UN Commission of Human Rights described the intense wave of violence as shocking in its scale and intensity, underlining that over 6,000 deaths have been verified during the offensive launched by the rebel group after 18-month-long siege imposed on Al-Fashir. The report had documented large-scale attacks, including massacres and arbitrary executions, sexual abuses, kidnappings, acts of torture, detentions, ransacking, as well as the use of children and hostilities. The document stated that in many cases the civilians were targeted on account of their ethnic origin or presumed affiliation. The UN Security Council has reiterated its commitment to the peace process in Sudan or in South Sudan and to work with the transitional government to reach a lasting peace and stability in the region. The UN representative who currently ensures the presidency of the Council, urged the South Sudanese leaders to get involved in a genuine dialogue on a possible amendment of the 2018 peace accord through an inclusive and transparent process. In this respect, he urged all the parties to ease tension and to immediately put an end to the hostilities and resort to a peaceful dialogue to settle their dispute. And with this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Time now for our weekly programs. I'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin. Thank you and goodbye for now.
Hello and welcome in Echoes of Time, where we uncover the great